YouTube, what's up? It's your boy Antha Barber coming at you with a tutorial. That's not a haircut tutorial, but it's a tutorial asking a question I'm constantly being asked on my haircut tutorial. If any of that didn't just make sense, I apologize, but basically I'm here to drop this tutorial to answer a question that I'm constantly being asked, whether it be on YouTube or on my DM on Instagram or my messenger on Facebook. And that question is, I'm actually gonna read it word from word from Duck's Barbershop. Shout out to you, bro. I just wanna say I appreciate the fact that you're watching my content. It makes me happy to know that you're getting value out of it, and it makes me even happier that you're being active on my channel and you're asking questions. So his question is just like every other question I get, maybe worded a little differently, but I'm constantly being asked this. Sup, Ant, got a question for you, bro. When you're taking off the first guideline, 0 to lever open, do you do it with the whole blade or just a corner of the blades? I've been having trouble with that. Thanks, have a good one. So to answer that question, I made a whole tutorial behind it and I'm gonna run it here in a minute. But basically, when I'm removing my bald guideline and I'm coming in with the lever closed, getting ready to work my way up, I'm using the whole blade. So imagine this is a blade, I'm applying it flat to the scalp, and I'm using the whole blade. Anytime I'm removing bulk, whether that be a guideline or just bulk in general, I use the whole blade. The only time I use a corner of my blade is when I'm paying close, focused, detailed attention to something, and I don't want to be as committed as I would with the full blade. I just want to work in that little area. So I'll use a corner of my blade to attack that little specific area, because if I come in like this, I'm not as committed as if I were like this. Because if you come in like this, you're running the risk of setting another guideline, and that's something we're all trying to avoid. So to answer the question, flat, full blade on the skin, that's exactly how I remove my bald guidelines. Just like that. And again, if I'm trying to pay close, focused, detailed attention to something, I'm using the corner of my blade. Before I do run this tutorial to show you guys exactly how I do it and walk you through it, I also want to say that this is really important, and it could pertain to some veterans, but basically this is going out to a lot of you student barbers and new barbers to the game, or people that are just thinking about getting into the game. It's really easy to go out and buy the newest of the new things. I'm constantly doing it all the time, so I'm super guilty of it. But what I really highly want to stress is when it comes down to meat and potatoes, when it comes down to the nitty gritty, everything that I use all runs together. It all works as a system. So I feel like it's really important to get a really dope system in place. And what I mean by that is you're gonna want your trimmer to work into your shaver into your clipper. And if you do that, you'll have no problems removing any guidelines, because everything works together. And basically what I mean by that is you'll always see me go in and set my bald guideline, remove bulk. I'll come through and clean up all the stubble remaining and completely bald out. I'll use the flick out motion when I get towards the top of the guide with this. And then to go from that stubble to lever fully open, I like to use my fade blade. I use my fade blade, then I close my lever and I begin to work that guide and blend it completely out. After I'm done with that, I jump straight over to my taper blade. And I love to use my taper blade for anything from a half guard up, because this fade blade is super dope and it blends out guides very easily, but it also sets harsh guides. So after I blend out my initial bald guideline, I like to use this because this taper blade sets soft guides, and they're very easy to remove. And there's something about this blade that's different than this blade, obviously, because they're two different blades. But the blend that this sets off, in my opinion, it's a little softer, but it allows your blend to look that much more blurrier. So that's how I run my system. Maybe I'll get into, you know, more in detail if that's something you guys want to know. But as far as now, I'm just basically trying to answer the question that I'm constantly being asked. So here's the tutorial behind it. Like always, if you guys got anything useful out this, I ask that you smash that like button. If you're new to my channel, I suggest you stick around. It's only gonna get doper from here. I appreciate y'all. Be blessed and be a blessing. I'm out. Alright y'all, so let's jump right into this. So I'm going to start by taking my trimmer and I'm going to set my first initial guide, which is going to be my bald guideline. Anytime I'm setting in a bald guideline, whether it's a drop fade, a low fade, a mid fade, a high fade, I just always try to remain consistent. And what I mean by that is when you set your guidelines in a neat, fashionly order, your blend tends to come out neat and clean. So what I mean by consistent is I'm just trying to keep every guide that I set in or anything that I do with this haircut neatly done, from the shape to the blend, to knocking down the stubble, to balding them out, all of it consistently. I'm just trying to keep everything neatly done and not sloppy. So once I set the guide, then I turn the trimmer over, and now I'm knocking down all of the bulk, and I'm knocking it all down to stubble, because I'm gonna follow up with my shaver in a minute and I'm gonna completely bald it out. So it's important that up towards this guideline that I set, that everything is knocked down evenly, because I'm going to use the shaver, and when I get towards the top of that guide, I'm going to use a flick out motion. So there is going to be some stubble left there, so it's important that that stubble is all knocked down evenly, so it gives a nice clean transition from completely bald to that stubble. So just like I said, I come in with my shaver. When I get towards the top of that guide, you can see that I use a flick out motion. And again, that's just so I give that clean transition from completely smooth to stubble. So it adds like another realm, like another level to your fade. It allows your fade to pop that much more, and it looks super clean. So right now I'm just kind of taking my time and I'm balding them out as evenly as I can. This foil shaver is a Babyliss Foil FX 02, I believe, and it's a dope shaver, and it does take it down really clean. And I will say that it takes it down cleaner than the Andis. I never use the wall one because it breaks all the time, so I use the Andis one prior to this one, and I've used the Bronze Series 9, and I would say that this one definitely knocks all the stubble down to very smooth. So right here, you're gonna notice that I'm using the shaver and I'm dabbing down. I'm going along the top of that hair that I left from the flick out motion, and I'm dabbing downwards on it. And when you dab downwards with the foil shaver, what it does is if there's any slight guide left, it's gonna knock that down without removing the hair completely. So I do want to leave some hair so I could give a clean look to that transition, but I don't want to remove it all. So I'm just trying to knock it down a little bit so there's not any guide left. And you'll also notice that I do start jumping over with the shaver on his cheek, and that's because when you're in a barber setting or you're in a shop setting, you're trying to manage your time the best that you can. So while you have the tool in your hand, you want to go ahead and just knock out everything you can while you're in that area. So right here, you're gonna see that I take my clipper and I'm coming in with the lever open, and I'm setting my first initial guideline after the bald guide. So once that guide has been set in, you're gonna see that I close my lever and I begin to blend from the bottom of that guide towards the top of the guide. And what I mean by that is I'm gonna come in with my lever fully closed, and I'm going to begin to attack the bottom of that guide. And I'm only going to go up a little bit, not very much. You're going to see right here, I close the lever and I begin to attack the line. And you could see that I'm just going right over the line. And as I erase this line, you're going to notice that I'm creating another one. But that's okay, because little by little, as I open up my lever and begin to fade upwards, that guide's going to continue to move up with me until it's completely blended out. And that's typically when the lever's open by, I'd say about the third time you open it. By the fourth notch or the fourth opening, it should be completely blended out. And if you notice any dark areas or anything during that point, you could stop and go ahead and knock them out then, or you could wait until you go through the steps and follow it up with some detail work. And you could see that I'm constantly keeping the blade flat against the head. Again, I keep the blade flat against the head anytime I'm removing bulk or anytime I'm moving up a guideline or fading upwards like I am now. Right here, you're gonna see that I'm using the corner of my blade, and this is just when I do some focused detailing. So right here you see I'm using the corner of the blade, but I'm attacking a specific area. And by me using the corner of the blade, it's allowing me to knock out that darkness that I see without being as committed as I would with the blade, with using the full blade. So here you could see now I have the blade fully open and that guide's blended out. And again, if you went through the steps and you notice any dark spots, here's a chance you could go ahead and close your lever, use the corner of the blade, knock out any darkness that you see, and do your detail work. Or you could just move along through the steps, and then once you're done, you could just fully detail your whole haircut. So right here, I switched over to my taper blade, kind of like how I explained to you guys. And right here, I am going to use the flick out motion because he gets a slick back, and this is the highest guard that I'm going to use. And after I use this guard, I'm going to go into clipper over comb, but I'm not going to include that in this tutorial. This tutorial is just about going from that bald guide to a point where you would no longer need to use clipper work. So again, I'm using that flick out motion because I'm gonna go into some clipper over comb, and but once that initial guide is set, just like the previous guide, I'm gonna close that lever and I'm gonna begin to blend from the bottom towards the top of that guide. But typically with the number one guard, I don't open the lever, I just leave it closed, and I begin to start blending from the bottom of that guide, and I go right up to where I just left off with the one fully open. And typically the one never removes itself. You always, 9 times out of 10, need to come back through and clean up any weight that was left behind. And I'm going to show you how to do that as soon as I'm done using this one guard. Alright, so now we're going to come in and we're going to remove any of that weight that we've seen using the wall half color guard with the lever open. And right where I just showed you, I'm going to begin to attack that weight that was left behind. So I come in with the lever fully open and I go right above that guide that was left behind. That weight that was left behind, I go right above it. And I remove it by using the fade process. But I'm gonna fade down. So I'm gonna close my lever as needed, and I'm gonna continue to blend until that guide is completely blended out. Alright y'all, so that's basically gonna complete this portion of this tutorial. Again, I hope someone got some value or use out this. It was a constant question that I was being asked, so I feel like this was the best way that I could answer it. So if you got anything useful, smash that like button. If you're new to my channel, I suggest you stick around. It's only gonna get doper from here. I appreciate y'all. Be blessed and be a blessing. I'm out.